And I'm very excited to have you on the show, dude.
I'm excited. I actually have light now. Look at all the light.
You have light. You have a new setup with your computer.
New camera. I got a teleprompter.
Do you really?
I have a $20 app on my iPad that works with voice. So I bought like a $5 microphone for my iPad, so it would actually pick me up. But yeah, it's I talk and it moves as I read it for $20. Prompt Smart online.
You know, I speechless.
No, I mean, I got you take away the computer, and I've probably, and the iPad was already here, probably only spent maybe, except, well, the microphone's expensive too, but maybe $200 with all the lighting and the stands and and then I got I got a bunch of stuff. So
yeah, that's
stimulus
exciting.
money to the rescue.
Yeah, that's the thing. So like when I vlog or if I'm doing like intros to stuff, I always think it'd be nice to have a teleprompter, you know, instead of having paper that you have to keep looking down on. And I have crappy handwriting, so it's always hard to decipher what I meant.
I have crappy handwriting, and I forget that I have notes, and then I forgot what I wanted to say in the beginning. So the biggest problem for me has been, 20 minutes before I go live, I've got all these things I know I'm going to say, and then we go live and my brain turns off, because that's what I'm actually good at, is you turn the brain off. So when you ask questions and you moderate, and you can go with the flow, but then you forget that there's to be accomplished at the end. There's goals you have to hit. So it can be a little hair raising, but yeah, I'm excited to use the teleprompter, because the show that I'm going to be doing is going to be very information intensive. So I'm going to have notes. I couldn't do it off the top of my head.
Well, with that, then, like, let's have you introduce yourself so we could go dive deep into this other stuff you're talking about.
Well, I am Craig Price. I host so many things. I'm a co-host of Matinee Heroes, which is a movie about heroic cinema. And then that spun off a segment of the show that we do every week, where we recast movies into a competition that we turn into the CastOff, which you have participated in. And that is going into the third season, starting on the 13th, or whatever that Tuesday is of the 13th, I think. And then I'm going to be hosting another untitled show that you saw the thing for. We haven't actually announced it yet. So I'll be doing something for the Stolen Droids starting May 3rd. And then I do all kinds of other stuff on the side, because I don't have a job, so I get to do all this extra stuff just to keep myself busy and learn new skills.
Dude, well, just right off the back, I want to say CastOff was very fun. Thank you for having me on that.
Absolutely. And you'll be back, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's no longer a tournament. So now we can get you versus Patrick right off the bat. We can just do an episode just between you two for no reason.
Yeah, dude. Let's have each other at each other's throats even more, you know?
Yeah. Finally figure out who really is the best.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But no, what I liked about the show, though, is that I think of all the movies that we had to cast, that I had to participate in, the only movie I saw was Shawshank Redemption. The others I have not seen before, so it kind of forces you to watch a movie with fresh eyes, and then, who would you recast in these roles?
Well, for me, it's really the reason why we do it in the regular podcast, Matinee Heroes, is it's a great way to delve into the characters, because you have to figure out, what does this character do? What is the motivation? What kind of person is this? And then you can attach an actor that may be able to do it, because you just can't go, oh, who's the highest? Tom Cruise for everything, because he makes $1 billion. Because it wouldn't make sense for some things, because Tom Cruise really can't be in situations where he kind of makes fun of himself too much. It's got to be way over the top, or it's got to be not at all. He can't do the middle of the road kind of stuff where he'd be a flawed human being. He's always seems like a superhero, or he's Les Grossman, under all these makeup. So it's a great way to get deeper into the movie.
Yeah.
And of course, you're being so young. There's a lot of movies you haven't seen because you're what are you, like 9?
Yeah, I feel like it. People at my job call me a 4-year-old because when I first moved out, I cut my finger and then I had blood going everywhere. And I called my dad being like, how much blood is too much blood? And like, I had to grab a dirty newspaper because I didn't have any paper towels. And I was telling this story. And then my coworker is like, my son's 4 and he knows exactly what to do. So what are you, 4 or 3?
Well, that's not your fault. No one ever told you. I'm just glad you didn't call your mom. That would have been sad. I called my mom and said, I have an owie.
I had to call her because I didn't have my insurance card. So I'm like, will you please like Facebook message me, the information? Because
how much blood were you losing?
Oh, dude, they had to glue it because.
Well, they glue it shut anyways. That's the easiest way to do it without, hey, don't give me the finger.
There's like a nice scar right there, but I cut it on a beer bottle. It was my first night alone making tacos, and then the fridge was too cold. And so
the fridge was too cold.
It was, yeah, because whoever lived in here before, I guess, turned it down. I don't know. Like the fridge froze a bottle, and so I was trying to open it, and then like the whole neck snapped and just full on, like in the blink of an eye.
I only have like little things that I did in like class, like that one we did with we were doing lead shavings. I mean, you take a wood block, a carving, and then they had like a lead thing, and you make a design, and I took the awl and went right into my hand, and they had to stitch that up. And then I have a matching one on the other side from X-Acto knife when we did something else. But yeah, that's all the scars I've got. I try not to get too many scars.
Oh, dude, I have quite a bit. That's what happens when you're a reckless child growing up, I guess. But
yeah, I'm surprised because you grew up in probably a more closed environment than I did, because I was a kid of the 80s and we just left in the morning and just ran, and we would we'd take apart fireworks and stick them in toilet paper and light fuses, and they'd blow up, and we'd tie not rockets, actual model rocket engines to toys we'd buy and launch them in the air. Like I bought a plane that was like $3. It was like a crappy little kid's plane, but I knew I was going to strap some rockets onto it, and that thing took off. It was great. But yeah, I'm surprised I'm not dead, scarred, or, impaired by some way.
Yeah, we didn't have that luxury we did, but cops were definitely more of a thing now, I feel like.
Yeah, the cops did something. Unless someone pressed charges, you were fine. I remember one time, the only time the cops came to our house is because I was with a friend of mine, Luke, and we were playing in his neighborhood, and someone had a boat in their front yard, moored up, but we climbed on the boat. We were playing on the boat. And we were pretending to be Indiana Jones or whatever, and we were jumping off the boat and playing on the boat. And then that night, cops show up because Luke's mom ratted us out. I know where Craig Price lives. Here's his address. And she ratted me out, Barbara Starrett. You ratted me out. And so that's the cop shut up and said, you can't do that. That's private property. But no charges were pressed, or I didn't even meet the guy who the problem was. But that was, nobody hurt. No big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the closest cop situation that I run into was, we were at a, what do you call it? Like top of a hill late at night, and after work at like a amusement park or whatever. And we're all hanging out with friends, and, music's loud, whatever. It's just being obnoxious
Kids.
Teenagers. Yeah.
Okay.
And then my friend's car died. And then I couldn't jump it because my battery had so much battery acid on it. His did too.
Yeah. Did you try to, roll it down the hill and pop the clutch and see if you can start that way?
No, we didn't do that. But we had my friend's mom come and try to save us. But then it turns out their car had a warrant out because the cop came because of like all this noise. Okay. And he ran all of our plates, and then a warrant came up for her arrest, and he thought we were dealing drugs. And so they called the dog unit and they're like, do we have permission to search your cars? And we're in high school. We're like, yeah. Like, what are we supposed to say? No. And
you can say no, but it's a longer night.
Yeah. And he's like, well, am I going to find anything in your cars? And then I was like, dude, I don't know. I have friends that do stuff. If they left anything in my car, it's not mine. So, and he's like, you're ratting out your friends. And I'm like, if you find something, I guess I am. I don't know. And then he let us go because I was being so honest. And my friends were like, dude, why would you rat us out even though we didn't do anything?
You pre-ratted them out. You ratted them out before there was even a problem. He didn't even say anything. You're just like, they did it. What they did what? You're the guy that would get pulled over. You're the reason why cops go, do you know why I pulled you over? Because then you confess everything before they say anything. Because that's actually happened a couple times where people have gone, it's because the body in the back of the car. Yeah, that's the reason. You just stay right here. And then they go, oh my God, there's a couple bodies in the back of the car.
Yeah. But it turns out the mom actually had stuff on her. So that made it even...
She was holding, I'm sure.
Yeah. It actually had made it longer night. And we're just like over a jumped car, like a car that needed to be jumped. But, other times it's just tickets here and there, I guess.
Yeah. That's no big deal. We all get those.
Yeah. And then this one, I was on my phone and the cop's like, I pulled you over. And I was like, no. He's like, well, of course you didn't because you were on your phone. I'm like, checkmate, dude.
Yeah. Touche, as my sister-in-law would say.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't fight that. But okay. So how did you get into podcasting and moderating stuff?
One led into the other. So for a long time, I worked for myself. I was a professional speaker. I would go to association meetings and businesses and talk about negativity and how it's useful, and wrote a book and all this good stuff. So at one point I had to get gum surgery, and that's very difficult to schedule because you have to take 6 weeks off. And so I scheduled it between Christmas and, February 1st, because I figured that's the slowest time of the year. And while I was doing that, they cut up my gums, they tied them up. I couldn't talk for 6 weeks, which my wife refers to as the golden years. And while I was sitting there, this was 2010, 2011, I didn't have anything to do, didn't have anyone to talk to. So I started listening to podcasts. And Mark Maron was the first one I listened to because I read something about him in New York Times, and I'm a big comedian guy. So I listened to him. And while I was sitting there trapped for 6 weeks, I'm like, I could do this. This is something I could like to do, because a lot of people would ask me questions that I don't have answers to. And I don't mind telling people I don't know things, but I also know a lot of people. And so the first thing I did was a business podcast for 5-6 years called Reality Check, where I would have experts on every week, and they'd be anything from, the regular stuff, sales, marketing. But then I had FBI agents on it, orangutan rescue. I did one in a brewery freezer one time. If you had a cool, weird, interesting job, or sometimes if you just had a boring job, but you were an interesting person, I had you on. And so that's where I got that, because it helped me two ways. It helped me network, because I'm horrible at networking because I don't like to leave the house. I have not had any problems with Corona. The more they lock down, the happier I am. I'm sure other people. And then they say no more hugs or handshakes, and people are like, oh no, I'm like, yes, I don't want stinky people grabbing me anymore, against my will. So I'm totally inverted until I have to be extroverted, which a lot of people are like, that's crazy. But then I have to do, events. I had to go out and stand in front of a couple thousand people and talk. And the reason why I find it easier to do that is because I feel like I'm actually more in control when I'm on stage. When I'm in the audience, that's why I love moderating Comic-Cons, because a lot of the times the moderators are awful and it's hard to watch. And so now I can help. I can be in charge. So the reason I got into moderating Comic-Cons is because I had the owner of Comicpalooza in Houston on the podcast, because I wanted to know what it takes to put on a huge event like this. And then he's like, oh, you'd be good at moderating. Would you like to come join us? I'm like, sure. And then that led to Salt Lake, and then that led to other things. And next thing you know, I'm all over the place doing things. And so podcasting has helped me quite a bit, not making money, but making opportunities.
So it's really about who you know.
It's really about not being afraid to ask people you don't know. Because I didn't know a lot of the people that I asked I was literally emailing people blind. That's how I found Alan, my co-host. Alan is not a friend of mine. I mean, he is now, but when I emailed him 6 or 7 years ago to be on my podcast, I was just in the movie page forums, just reading comments, and he's like, oh, he's in Houston. Oh, I should email him and have him see if he wants to come over. And yeah, he came over and talked about being a movie critic. And next thing we know, we were doing an Oscars show, and then we were doing a summer movie preview. And then a couple of years later, we kicked off Matinee Heroes. So yeah, it's a lot of the people I know, I just kind of, it's easier to email them and be rejected than it is to call them up and be rejected. So I just email them cold and say, hey, would you like to be on the podcast? And it was difficult at first, especially since my podcast was all over the place, but that's by design.
Yeah.
Each week you wouldn't hear the same thing. So it wouldn't be a marketing podcast. And you're like, what the hell's going on? I just listened to marketing last week. And now we're talking about, we're talking about entertainment. It's weird. But after about 6 months, that's when it started to pick up, where people started to expect new and different things. They didn't want to hear the same thing twice. And it kind of rolled on from there.
That totally makes sense, actually. Funny enough, Mark Barron's actually one of the first ones to get me listening to podcasts. I don't remember who he had on as a guest that really got me into it, but
well, it's just a matter of usually what I do is just if I hear one or two things that I like, I'll download all their back catalog. And now it's just a matter of who's he got on, because I don't want to listen to every single episode. Because whoever he's got on this particular week, I remember when I get the email, I'm like, nah, I'll just delete it. And then, but he had Eddie Murphy on a little while ago.
Yep, that was a good one too.
Yeah, he had Christopher Lloyd. So people that are very interesting, I want to listen to, but not everybody.
Yeah, well, apparently he has one of David Fincher that David Fincher won't let him release. So kind of butthurt about that.
Probably because he wasn't allowed to do it 1,500 times.
Probably, yeah.
He's like, okay, so we did one podcast. Let's do it 1,500 more times, and we can edit up the best pieces. Yeah. So.
Repeat the same thing? Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the same stories over and over again. Slightly tiny different inflections that you won't notice.
Yeah. The other one that got me into it was Bill Burr. And then there's one called the Movie Crypt podcast where they would interview all these horror people, I guess, in the horror community, and have like big names on there. I thought it was fascinating, but here we are. And so what your first podcast then, before that, you mentioned you had a book out.
Yeah, I did.
How did that come to be? Like, how did you come to be a public speaker? Like, was that something you studied for, or?
No, I it's just one of those things where I knew someone who was a speaker. They knew me. I had done entertainment for years. They knew I could stand in front of a group of people and talk. Now it was just a matter of finding a topic. And so being counterintuitive and well ahead of my time, because now it seems like everybody's doing my topic. I just don't know how to market it. So I've moved to someplace else. So I've kind of retired from that. But I talked about negativity and how it's useful, and so I wrote this book called The Realist Guide. It was half a glass, a realist guide. And it was just a little guidebook on how the things that we consider negative can be used in a positive way if we just take the second to go, oh, I didn't like the way he said that, but that doesn't mean what he said didn't have value. So, don't shoot the message because you don't like the messenger kind of situation.
That's
so
cool.
That led to public speaking. And then on and on and on.
See, I didn't know that. I have no idea. The only thing I know about you, Craig, is that you podcast.
Right. And that's what most people know about, because that's the one thing I am excited about. Even when I was speaking, I wasn't that excited about it. I enjoyed the speaking part. But the problem with speaking, or even any private business that you own, is about 95% of it is sales and marketing. Doesn't matter what you're doing. I know you have a lot of artists on, and it doesn't matter if you're painting or a guitarist or whatever.
How about the marketing?
That's great if you can do it. But if nobody knows you can do it, it doesn't matter, especially if you want to get paid. If you want to be a hobbyist, and with podcasting, I don't make a living at it. So I don't really worry about it. I leverage it to do cool and fun, interesting things. I'm not a money person. I'm more of an experience person. So everything I've done, people have gone, oh, you could have got paid a lot more for that. Yeah, but I got to do it, and nobody else got to do it. So that's great. Like I right before Corona hit, the last thing I did was the reunion of Twin Peaks. I talked to about 8 or 9 of the cast members from Twin Peaks, and that's something I never would have been able to do. You can't pay for that. You can't, it's just one of those things that someone asked me to do it. I'm like, absolutely. Because I had done all these other things. So yeah, I didn't make a lot of money that day, but I made a lot of memories and had a great time. It was fantastic. In Fayetteville, Arkansas, it was fantastic.
Well, it's like, who can add to the resume? Had a reunion with Twin Peaks cast members,
Yeah. Well, it's weird because with Fan X, I do Fan X every year, and I'll definitely be there in September. if they have me, but they already said they want me back, so that's great. But they usually give you a list of people ahead of time, like a couple weeks beforehand, and then what are your top 5? And I usually go for the not necessarily the biggest names, but the most talented people. Like I wanted John Cleese when he came. Now he's a big name, but I don't think a lot of people under 30 think he's a big name. He's Monty Python. He did Fish Called Wanda. Super funny guy. So he was the first person I wanted. So it's things like that. I want John Cusack and Joan Cusack. I want to go to them. I don't want Tom Holland. I'd love to get Tom Holland, but I also know that that's going to go to probably the news people because they can promote it easier. But I usually try to find the more talented people because those people you don't get to see every day.
Right.
Tom Holland will be around forever. Now I will try to get David Tennant. I will try to. I do. There's some big names that I love, but
Tom Cruise.
You win some. I would love for Tom Cruise to do that. Tom would be great because I don't believe in anything in his private life, but I think he is the best professional actor out there, which means doesn't matter the movie, 100%. He is giving 100% all the time on every movie, and you can't say he phoned it in on anything.
Nicolas Cage too, man.
Really? I think Nicolas phones it in on a couple things.
You think so?
He did that history of cursing, and that just seemed like he was just kind of goofing off and having fun. He was great, but he was just Nicolas Cage. I bet that took less than a day to shoot.
Probably. He's like, give me a whole bottle and we'll do it.
Yep. Boom. Let's just get these out of here. He's done.
Nah, I could see that. By the way, that show, I like the show, but it didn't go the way I expected it to.
It was very reminiscent of the VH1 this week, where they really weren't telling a lot of new information. It was a lot of rehash, a couple of lame jokes, and then that was it. I was really hoping it was a real deep dive on some serious scholarly information, but it wasn't. It was just surface stuff that I already knew. And you get to watch Nick Cage swear.
Yeah, well, it's the surface stuff, and then you get the surface people on Twitter being like, "Fuck yeah, this is my fucking show," And it's just like, wow.
Yeah. Well, now that you dropped the F-bomb, I know what I can do. Good. That makes me feel better.
Yeah. No, you could say whatever you want on here, as long as you're not like promoting hate. Then it's like,
No, I mean, I do have our annual "Fuck Nazis," which we do promote the hate of Nazis.
Dude, I should have worn that shirt. I have it.
You've got the shirt? I know you ordered one. I didn't know how fast they got to you. That's good. What color did you get?
I got black.
Oh, everyone likes the black. Or my sister-in-law ordered a bunch of pink ones. So she's got some pink "Fuck Nazi" shirts walking all over North Carolina. Well,
the pink ones, I mean, it could be kind of like the "fuck cancer,"
Could be anything.
That would draw attention. But mine, so here's the thing too. I thought it was gonna be on the front end, right? And I'm like, yeah, but wear it on my chest. But then I noticed it was on the back. I'm like, oh hell yeah. Now people like walking behind me, you're gonna be like,
yeah,
he's wearing that shirt. So yeah. I went to Cafe Rio with that shirt on. And the amount of eyes, especially in Utah, Davis County, Utah, like people were like, should he be wearing that in public?
But if you notice, it's the reason why we do it's because it's censored. So it's, F asterisk, ampersand. But even on the show, we swear on the show. We swear on the show. We say the F word all the time on the show. But anytime we use the word "fuck" and Nazis together, we beep out the F. It's really odd because we'll be saying, this is fucking stupid. I can't believe, well, fuck those Nazis. And we beep those Nazis. It was just kind of weird. But it's just a running joke we've had. We've been anti-Nazi since our first year, and I thought this year, especially after what we've been through, we needed another one. So we went through our second round of "fuck Nazi." Even American Nazis we had this time with American History X.
Yeah, dude. Well, here's the thing too. After the insurrection, it got my mood so sour and depressed. And I saw your post, like not even like hours after, and I was like, yeah. We need this. And I actually wore that on Inauguration Day because I was like,
well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So it's one of my go-to shirts. Plus it fits my Corona weight now. I ordered the right size this time. So I'm like, oh, future orders got to be this size. So
yeah. And it's weird because that particular company's t-shirts are never that consistent. So I'm always nervous when people buy them. Well, I'm always grateful when they're like, oh, it was great. It fit good. Oh, thank God. Cause I've had a couple, like I got this one on and this one's kind of weird in the shoulders, but Anyways, go to matineeheroes.com/store and you can get a whole bunch of Manny T Hero. That's our Manny shirt. So that's our mascot, Manny T Hero.
Dude, so with Fan X and stuff, so I've never been to Fan X. I know, shocker, I know.
You're going to go this year.
I want to. I really do.
Yeah.
And I always say, like I told Patrick, like he's all into the comic book stuff. I'm like, dude, I know nothing about comic books. I know nothing about Fan X, whatever. And I always feel like I get just like, really? I'm like, yeah, but I'm gonna consider myself a nerd still, Well,
but the good thing about Fan X, it's unlike some other events, not nearly conventions, because conventions can get pretty big. So there's not many gatekeepers. So you're not going to be, you don't have to worry about having to know everything. Because I think, Valerie Cameron and I are probably very similar in that we are very nerdy, but we're surface nerds. We are a mile wide and an inch deep. We don't delve into the minutia of everything, but I love everything. I mean, you can see all the Funkos behind me. Every single one is something that I love, because there's right there, wrong way. There's Burt Reynolds, because Burt Reynolds is a hero of mine growing up. And then John Wick and Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors, one of my favorite musicals of all time. And then there is Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws, which I, cosplayed for when we did Jaws for a live podcast we did at one of the local theaters. So I don't know every detail. It's like baseball. I like the Red Sox. I couldn't tell you half the people on the team.
Oh, dude, I haven't watched. See, the last person that I know as a pitcher for the Red Sox was on the Yankees at one point.
Yeah, I haven't watched in a couple of years because it's just been, I've been bouncing around and especially last year. Last year I didn't watch any sports because it doesn't count. And the only one that count was football, because everybody played the entire schedule. But once they shortened the schedule and they had all these weird things and all the weird rules in basketball, I'm like, no, you're not playing the game. You're playing a weird little exhibition season.
Oh, dude, it got weird. And then like hearing all these college universities be like, oh yeah, we're canceling, but we're going to force this other school. It's like,
yeah, one of the teams had to forfeit a game in the tournament.
Oof. Because
their whole team had COVID. So that's during the tournament just a couple of weeks ago. That's crazy. So yeah, I haven't been paying attention to sports until this is all over.
Yeah. Well, and then there's also like people being laid off at universities. And I'm like, why not just cut certain salaries way in half and then you could save money? But, God forbid, have common sense.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, I agree with you. But the problem is what generates money versus what we need.
I know.
And that's the University of Utah's football team generates a lot of money. Yes, should it? Do. Probably not. But it does. And if you want to have a good team, which will generate more money, you got to have a good coach and you got to pay for the coach. So yeah, I totally understand having a football coach at college making more than $2 million a year is stupid, but economically that's what's going to happen. Nothing you can do about it.
I know it makes sense if you look at it.
I hate it. I think it's stupid,
but also, yeah,
because I go back home and, my elementary school system doesn't have music anymore, or doesn't have art classes, but everybody is playing football and baseball. They got to have those because they generate some kind of money, and also brain dead kids as they grow up. Yeah, they get hit in the head. Nothing like what are they, CTEs or whatever.
There's that, or they just become physical trainers because their knees are so blown out and they can't do anything themselves because they work out so much.
Yes, my knees are horrible. Thanks, and it's because of playing high school sports. So yes. Yeah,
well, then it gets other people to go to the gym 24/7. I'm just like, dude, the long time effects of that much wear on your body when you get older. Yikes.
Yep, I believe me. I'm older. I feel it. I know it. I hyperextended both knees because not at the same time, but over a couple different times, because our baseball field in New Hampshire, where I grew up, was so bad. It had holes in it, and it had a drainage ditch that ran through the outfield and right field. And I just running full bore, and you hit that thing, you pop that knee. It's awful.
So you grew up in New Hampshire for how long?
Till I was 21.
And then you moved to
Houston, Texas, because it's the exact opposite of where I grew up. It was either that or Los Angeles. And at the time, this would be 95. Los Angeles was going bankrupt. There was no jobs there. In retrospect, I should have moved to Los Angeles because that's where I am right now. But yeah, I moved to Texas instead because it's warm. It's a big city that I grew up in a small town. So I just wanted something different.
Has great power grids.
Well, thankfully, I didn't have any problems with that.
So then what got you to move out then? Was it just because of...
Just because. I mean, I grew up in a small town and I'm not a small town guy. I just never felt comfortable in the small towns. Because I moved there, moved to Houston. Then I had an opportunity to move to New York City and I did that for a couple of years. Then I moved back to Houston. Then I moved to Utah. Utah's too small a town for me, but I like the state, but it's a little too small. But I met my wife there and we moved back to Houston and then we stayed there for a long time. And then we moved to California.
Damn, dude, you've been everywhere.
I have been a lot of places. Yes. I've lived in every time zone and there's advantages and disadvantages to that. The disadvantage is I don't have a support system. I mean, if I lived in Utah my entire life at 42, 47, 51, I'd have a lot of friends and who would be able to help me out if there's a problem, family and things like that. But living where we are, it's just us. And if things go south, which, there was fires here in October and December and we had to evacuate, not like we could go down the road to our parents' house. We had to stay in a hotel and finding jobs is very difficult because there's no one there to help. Because most jobs you'll find if you know somebody, it doesn't mean it's nepotism, but it's usually helpful. I don't know anybody. I don't know a soul for like 2,000 miles. So it's one of those things. Yeah, I blame Corona up until maybe August, and then I'll have to look inward and see what my problems are. But yeah, but the pros are I've been everywhere. I've seen a lot of places, and I know what the world's like. I know what the country's like. So when people go, "Oh, this is not America," oh yes, it is. This is America in a lot of good and bad ways.
Yeah, I think if anything, this past year, especially, maybe this past presidency, has definitely highlighted a lot of ugliness that we thought was stowed away forever, and definitely was not.
Yeah, I didn't think it was stowed away forever. I definitely thought it was. Well, I thought it was isolated in certain spots. Yeah. It certainly wasn't allowed to roam the streets. And now, not only can it roam the streets, it's buying cars, it's running for office, it's, state representative for Georgia. So it's all kinds of things. It's gotten well out of hand. But you can see the natural progression, and it's not a shock if anyone's kind of been paying attention.
Yeah. Georgia. So for my job, I actually do work in the state of Georgia. But with everything going on with the election and stuff, it was really weird talking with the reps and there, because being professional, you don't want to bring up any political stuff, but like how did you guys get sleep last night?
Yeah. And then of course you have to be careful because it's not like it was a 70-30 split.
Nope.
I had this problem in Texas. You don't talk politics because I'm a blue guy in a red state, and most of the people are not going to. I've had to apologize to my wife's boss, for something I didn't even know, because it's like I said one thing and they took it so hard, and I wasn't even rude about it. I was just kind of nonchalant, but so it was about. I think it was about transgenders in the bathroom or something, and I'm like, why can't you just let people pee where they got to pee? And next thing I know, the next day, my wife's like, "Oh, I'm so in trouble. You've got to apologize." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know what I did, but I'll apologize. I thought I was well behaved. I'm usually pretty good."
Well, Craig, maybe you shouldn't bring that up.
You know what? I don't think I did. I think his wife did. I responded in kind, and then that was the problem.
That's fair. So when you were younger, then what did you want to do?
I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And I did for a while. I was Houston's funniest person in 1997. I had only started in 96, and I wasn't a touring comic, but I was a comic that went out and made money, not a lot, but made money just being a comic for several years.
Did you open up for anybody like
Yeah, Robert Schimmel, Pauly Shore. I mean, Earthquake, Ralphie May. You know, not any huge, massive people because I was mostly a regional comic in Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, but it was enough to pay bills and struggle through. And that's the problem is there's just not any money in it unless you're Jerry Seinfeld. Just saying Jerry Seinfeld because you're making $200 a week opening. Even if you're middling, you're only going to make $500 a week, and if you're headlining, maybe you get a percentage of the door, depending on who you are. And it's really difficult to make a living. You have to really love it. And after a certain point, I really didn't love it anymore. I learned to be I don't mind being the funniest person in my house. I don't have to be the funniest person in the world anymore.
Right.
But moving to New York did that. That kicked the teeth out because I was doing okay in Texas, and when I moved to New York, it was starting all over again from scratch. They don't care where you're from, and and then I was finding out that one of the reasons I was doing so well in the South is because I'm from the Northeast, and it's like, oh, this Yankee is real funny, but back in Yankee land, I'm just another guy. So it's like, hey, my cousin Dean is just as funny as this guy. So it wasn't nearly as I wasn't nearly as charming as I thought, or as people thought I was compared to Texas.
So what? Okay, so I haven't traveled much. I've traveled to, we'll say like 10 states, maybe, at the top of my head. Furthest east I've been is actually Georgia and Louisiana. That section. I know
that's a lot of space between Louisiana and Georgia.
I know. We went to Georgia to fly over into Louisiana, but
okay.
Technically it was Jamaica is probably the furthest east if we're going to be that.
Maybe, yeah.
But I don't know. I've never been to New York, and my cousin lives in New York, and hearing stories of New York, I just like, are they the most blunt state?
Oh, you're asking the wrong guy because I'm pretty blunt. And I have no problems with people from New York. What I don't like is the people in the South who are like, oh, she's just the sweetest, isn't she? Oh my God, she's dumb as a rock. But I love her to death. She's so wonderful. I wouldn't let her touch nothing out of my house. It's just, New Yorkers they're blunt. Yeah. I mean, it's not just New York. It's the whole Northeast. Boston, my wife.
Yeah.
She's from Utah. And so when she went to back east for the first time, she was upset because the Dunkin' Donuts lady wasn't super polite to her. She bought donuts and it was $1.08 or something with 8 cents. And instead of going, do you have 8 cents? The lady goes, what? You don't have 8 cents? And to me, it's like, well, no, I don't have 8 cents. Here you go. I don't have a dime. I don't got nothing. But my wife's like, no, because she's from Utah and everybody's sweet and polite in Utah. But most of them are on prescription drugs too. So
yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
We're putting our money to good cause of pornography instead of oxycodone.
You got some of that going on too, don't you think?
Yeah,
that's not happening. But it's really the prescription antidepressants going on. I think it's twice the national average in Utah. There's a reason why you're a Happy Valley.
Oh, I don't know if we're happy, man.
No, but
I'm not
you got
happy.
drugs to pretend you are for a while. Yeah.
Everybody on Facebook apparently looks happy, but I'm just like, how are you guys so afloat in such dire times?
I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like I'm usually pretty negative, but I'm not usually pretty dire. So I'll be like, man, that's stupid. But I'm not like, oh my God, the world's going to die. I'm not that guy. I'm more
my mind went there. This pandemic, it was just like Mount Doom. Like I was looking at my window thinking like Mount Doom's going to appear,
it's weird. I never had that. I saw a lot of my friends did. Because I remember we're right about the anniversary of the 2 weeks in, and people were out like, we're going to be stuck in here forever. It's like, oh, you people. What it's been 2 weeks, right. And all you did was buy as much toilet paper as you could possibly get, and you guys thought you could stay inside. And then they did every puzzle they could possibly find in the first 2 weeks because they thought it's just weird that everybody went freaked out, and it's like, pace yourself. It's a marathon. Everybody was sprinting that first couple of weeks, except me and my wife. I was just kind of like, yeah, nothing changed. My wife worked from home. That's it. That's all.
Dude, speaking of the toilet paper, if there's not a documentary that kind of tries to explore why we went for toilet paper right off the back, I'm going to be really disappointed because what the fuck?
Well, I also live with Howard Hughes. My wife is a very anti-germ. So when everybody was out of hand sanitizer, she was at work, right, and she's like, "Oh, I got to go bring my jar home and refill it." And she's like, her coworker's like, "How do you refill it?" I'm like, "Well, I got a big thing of it." "Where did you find a big thing of it?" "Oh, I've had it all the time. I get it all for years." So she was pandemic ready. Plus, you throw in the got to have 72 hours of food that the Utah people promote, and we didn't even notice there was a problem. I think the first time we noticed was when we did the online shopping for the first time. The pickup where they load up your car, and half the stuff was not there. Like we went to go shopping and there was nothing in the shelves because I would go to the grocery store for the first time and we couldn't get beans for like a month because they were just empty. It was just gone. There's supply chain problems. People were buying up anything they could find. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. And now people are like going about it like the pandemic's not even a thing. It's just like,
oh yeah. And that's before they're even vaccinated. They're not vaccinated traveling going, "Oh, the vaccinations are out. Well, I'll be good in a couple months." Well, then what are you doing traveling here?
Yeah, right. It's like, just wait then. Like,
yeah. I mean, I've been vaccinated since October, so I'm good to go. But my wife, I think she just got her appointment for like 2 weeks from now.
Her first dose, or
her first dose? Yeah, she hasn't been eligible, so I think her first one. I think she's got to drive like an hour and a half to get it.
Yeah. Okay, hour and a half in California time. Is that actually like an hour and a half, or
it would be an hour and a half if there was no traffic? That's how I go by. I go by. Oh, it's about 100 miles away. So that's like 100 minutes.
Oof, yeah. Yeah. No, I get my second dose in I think 2 weeks.
Nice.
I think.
Yeah, Utah is like the Wild West. They just let anybody get anything, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing too. They lowered the BMI a couple weeks ago, right? And that's how I got on. And I'm like, wow, COVID weight's paid off. Apparently, my obese 31 BMI self can now get vaccinated, right?
I guess.
But they don't. Here's the thing: they didn't check. Anybody could have done it if they asked. Just lie about your weight. They don't check your weight.
Yeah, and then there's like lie about smoking. I think there's some states that they'll take people who've been smoking or whatever, and it's like, whatever.
Yeah, and the thing with Utah is Utah's already anti-vax, as if we're being realistic. And there's one county called Utah County who is extremely anti everything, apparently. Now,
where is that located? In the southern corner?
Yeah, so you drive past Salt Lake County, right? And then you keep going south, and it's pretty much the Provo, Orem, Lehigh area.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. And that's also during, like in Utah, there's like all these high school parties, like these underground parties that these people on Instagram were trying to start. And they were
these COVID parties where like, let's try to get COVID so we can get like a chicken pox party.
No, they're like, there's going to be no masks here. You could come mask free. That's how it was. And they got busted by the cops. And now I think they're facing felony charges, I think.
Oh, good. I'm like all for it.
19 years old. I'm like, you guys are stupid. Like,
yep.
What'd you expect? So that's Utah County, I guess. At least Salt Lake is doing their thing. But then if you go on like the local news articles, right? There's these people from the Utah County who are like, now we got to make Salt Lake Republican and get those Democrats out. I'm just like, is this your guys' mindset? Like,
oh yeah, it's everybody's mindset. It's whoever's the other side should be all gone. It's crazy.
It makes no sense to me.
It's a DC Marvel situation where all the DC people hate Marvel movies and all the Marvel movies people hate DC. And if you're someone like me who loves the Marvel movies and likes some of the DC movies, it means that I hate DC because I like Marvel. It's crazy. The world has turned into a dumpster fire.
So did you like the Snyder Cut?
I did not. And I spent several hours talking about it with Movies That Make Us. I think that was a $70 million wipe of the butt and flush of the toilet for HBO. I hope they made some money back.
Now, do you think streaming companies should be more transparent about what they consider a success or not?
No, I don't. That doesn't matter. I mean,
if they're becoming the main thing, right? Like the box office is going to become obsolete then, like hypothetically.
Well, it's the box office should be obsolete. It shouldn't affect whether someone goes to see a movie or not.
Right.
It's really for internal records to see if they should make movies. It's really the only number out there is for other people. It's for the internal executives. It's like athletes. Athletes, we shouldn't know how much they make. What do we care? Unless they're public owned like Green Bay, who cares?
Yeah.
Because that's not our money. It's not tax money. So why do we care how much Tom Brady makes?
He makes bank of it.
He doesn't need to. His wife makes more. He's not the breadwinner.
So is it because she's a model then, like her modeling career?
Yeah. He could easily for years for the Patriots. He would, he'd take pay cuts, and so they would be able to spend the money on other players, so he'd have a better team. But that's because he could, because his wife was making twice as much as he was.
Oh, well, the more you know.
And when she makes $40 million a year, you don't need to make $20 million a year. You just 7, 10 will be fine, right?
So do you think Tom Brady is going to be like the richest retired football player when he chooses to retire?
Not the richest. I mean, because there are other guys who invested their money and have done very well. They're owners and things like that. I mean, Elway's he's a general manager. I think he's part owner of the Broncos. Michael Jordan has more money than God because of Nike.
I know his house went for sale up in Park City, and I was just jealously looking at the photos, knowing I would never be able to afford that nice luxury place.
but he'll be set. That's all I know. He'll be set for a long time. Because remember, for 20 years he wasn't the highest paid guy. He was, so it's only these last couple of years that he's really making some bank.
Yeah, but dude, then like, here's the thing too with Tom Brady and like all these great superstars, right? Even like Steph Curry with the Golden State Warriors, they do some like the most interesting looking throws, passes, shots, whatever, and they make it look so great. And it like physics wise, it should not work, and somehow they go against everything and make it look spectacular.
That's why
incredible.
They make the money.
I know. I'm like, it's incredible. Like people say they suck. I'm like, they don't suck. They're just overpowered.
No, people who say they suck are usually on like teams that they lose to. So everyone in Buffalo hates Tom Brady and says he sucks because he beats them like a drum every year for 20 years.
Yeah. Like even with like LeBron James, like I'm not his biggest number one fan, right? But like
they all hate him because he's the best.
Right. And I'm like, dude, if that guy came charging at me to slam dunk, I'm moving aside. Yeah.
Here you go, buddy.
That's a death sentence right there.
But neither one of us are that tall, so he could just jump right over us.
Yeah, dude. Then it's just like LeBron James dunking. I don't know. I feel like I'd have less dignity if he did that to me. I'd be like, I could have tried.
Yeah. You could be posterized as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd prefer that way instead of, dunking right over me like a dunk contest.
Well, he's going to either way. So that's just know that if you're ever in that position, which you will never be, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Don't lose sleep over it, but you will lose that situation over and over again.
I know. And here's the thing too. I'm 6'4".
Oh, you are tall. I guess we've never stood next to each other. Is Patrick small?
Patrick is small.
One of you is not very tall. How tall is Patrick?
He's shorter than I am. I don't know his height.
Most people are smaller than you are.
I don't know his height. That's probably the main thing I first noticed when him and I first met was the height difference. I was like,
you saw a full head over him?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Easily. I think he actually on one of our past streams, we both stood up to see the height difference. I think, yeah, there's a huge height difference, but I can never dunk. That's the point I'm getting at. People my height could dunk. I couldn't dunk. I couldn't jump.
You're Sean Bradley.
Yeah, dude. I was just like, well,
another white Utah guy who can't jump, but he's really tall. Yeah, that's why you're so worried about your knees. Yeah, well, and then they're like, dude, you're tall. You should be bigger and built. I'm like, I'm a skin and bones, dude. Like, I can't even get muscle if I wanted to. And then COVID happened. They're like, hey, instead of muscle, how about this nice tummy you got, Mr. Beer Gut? Well, if you're gonna need to up that BMI to get your vaccination. Yeah, thanks, COVID. I upped my BMI, but it was by accident. So, same here. I'm down 15 from the beginning of the year, though, so I still got another 15 to go. but we'll hope.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So while you did mention that when you moderate stuff and you get to talk with a lot of cool people, like what are some of your biggest experiences that you've had that will go down in your memory book,
the John Cleese one is amazing because he's a comedy legend and a genius. He's super.
You actually moderated him, or
yeah. And you can see the video online. You can go to moderator Craig Price. You can see lots of videos of me doing stuff. But yeah, it was me and him. And the thing about the John Cleese is I wasn't sure I was actually going to moderate that one until he showed up, because about a week and a half before the event, they called me like they normally do and said, hey, then they reveal, it's almost like a reality show. They reveal who I'm going to speak with. So I have a week to prepare. And they're like, yeah, you got to do John Cleese. I'm like, oh, great. That's awesome. I'm so happy. The next day I got a phone call. That's not common. I don't usually get a call from them twice in 2 days. Usually I don't get a call from them again until I show up. And so I'm like, what's wrong? And they're like, well, John Cleese may not need a moderator, but they still want one nearby just in case. And it makes sense because he doesn't need a moderator. He does nightclub acts where he does a show and then he asks questions from the audience. So he doesn't really need me. So for a week and a half, I had to prepare just in case. And that's worse because, you don't know. So you're kind of in this limbo. And then when he shows up, you're like, well, I got two things. Either I got to make sure that I'm ready because this guy is sharp as a tack and funny. And you go on stage, you just can't screw it up. You got to go. You got to be ready. Or I got to make sure I don't cry in front of him when he tells me I'm not needed. So you got those two emotions going at the same time. And he's like, oh, let's go. And then I had like 2 minutes and we walked on stage and we did a little bit together. It was great. It was super fun. And it was one of the most responses I've gotten because when I walk down the halls of Van X, nobody knows who I am. It was just good. But on that one, people were stopping me and telling me how great it was and how funny it was. And it was real fun. So that was a big one. Ming Na Wen is wonderful. We did an event at New Year's Eve in 2016 with Stan Lee. That one was great because she is super fun and super nice. I'm looking around because I just put up a bunch of pictures. And, the Kevin Conroy episode of my podcast I did, because that's one of the things I was able to do is that I was able to moderate, but then I'm like, hey, can I plug in my recorder? And so I have an interview with Kevin Conroy, who's the voice of Batman, talking about when he was at Juilliard and he was Robin Williams' roommate.
Whoa.
Yeah. He never talks about that. And he talked about, Robin Williams as a roommate, him and Christopher Reeve and Robin Williams all shared a house, but they didn't have bedrooms. They just kind of put curtains up. They divided it up. And when they brought ladies back, they'd have the curtains. And, one night Kevin brings a girl back and they're, just hanging out and getting ready to do whatever. And she starts to hear a little family. Robin Williams is practicing all his voices, but it's a Vietnamese family fighting with each other. And she's like, what's going on over there? And Kevin Conroy does a great job of talking about it. And he is much better telling the story, and you can listen to that at matineeheroes.com. But Kevin Conroy is fantastic. And those things are what I love. I love asking stuff that not everybody asks. Right. And hearing stories that nobody's already heard before. So that was super fun. But most of all, it's just a lot of the times it's really, I enjoy the people I don't know more. Like I do a lot of voiceover actors and I don't know a lot of anime or whatever. And so they'll throw me out in front of people who are like, oh yeah, this is the voice cast of Overcast or whatever that is, Fortnite and things. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I mean, I know it's a video. And I'm not so deep in it that I can ask those great questions, but it's because I'm from the outside, I can ask questions that neither the super fans know about or the regular people don't know about. So I can make it, I can kind of be like a Rosetta Stone and translate it from the geeks.
I'm really interested about this Kevin Conroy one.
Yeah, it's great. It's also, we did the Mask of the Phantasm for the movie. So you can listen to the Mask of the Phantasm. Then there's Kevin Conroy. And then I think that's it for that particular one. Because that was a nice long episode. We had the Alan and I did the Mask of Phantasm, and then we just put on I think it's about 45 minutes of Kevin Conroy.
That's so cool.
He's great. He's a really nice guy.
That's really cool. Hold on 1 second. Somebody's at my door.
Uh-oh.
I don't. Hold on.
Must be the cops.
I hope not. I have a funny story about that too. Hold on. I ordered food to be here at 7:30, and they're like, here at 7:15. I'm like, I said 7:30.
Well, that 15 minutes. You'd rather than be early than an hour late.
Yeah, but then here's the thing, my neighbors. Okay, so going back to cops real quick. Couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I wake up to a knock on the door. I was like, 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, who's knocking? Is this management? So I open up the door and I'm like, oh, like Sideshow Bob, because I have curly hair, and like, I'm just like, okay, what? And it's 2 cops. And they're like, yeah, we're here for a domestic disturbance. I'm like,
I live alone.
Yeah. I'm like, my apartment? They're like, yeah. I'm like, are you sure? They're like, yeah. I was like, dude, I live alone. Are you sure? Yeah. Do you guys want to take a look around?
I live alone.
Is that okay with you? I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm not doing anything. And so they walk in, they're going around, and then they see my lizard.
Oh yeah. That means you're.
In word for word, he says, oh, you really do live alone. Like, after he said that.
So, get out of my house, cops.
Yeah, but it turns out this is my neighbors. My neighbors have always had issues. So,
I'm looking right now, 7 a.m. You texted me this morning at 6:54 a.m. my time, asking me about today. So you're just as bad as those damn cops.
I know. I clock in at 6 here. So 5 o'clock your time is when I clock into my job. But, early bird gets the worm.
No,
this isn't a weekend. This isn't a weekend though. Like, after like a night of drinking, probably, like, I don't know. It's just like, what? And I was wearing sweats, and I'm not sure if there's like a little peekaboo somewhere, so like my mind wasn't all the way there, and I'm pretty sure they thought like, dude, this guy looks like a hobo or something.
Yeah you definitely have the hobo vibe sometimes
I do, yeah.
Which is why I wore the hat and the shirt, because I'm like, I've been on him with him on video shows before. This is not dress up time with Chaz Evans.
Nah,
this
dude,
is just Greg time.
I'm the least dressed up. If I want to dress up, my hair, since it's longer, I'd probably do like a bun of some sort, and trim up. But
yeah, I didn't do anything. I just I was like, yeah, it's 5:30. I'll put a hat on because I have some serious bedhead, but because I work from home, I live from home, so all I did was 5 feet away. I just walked from the other room.
Well, working from home has its perks, I guess.
Oh yeah, especially since I have the sick dog.
Dude, you have such cute dogs though. I love seeing like their photos on Facebook.
Well, I'm putting a lot of the pug pictures up because she doesn't have much time left. She's got maybe a month or 2.
Oh.
But since we've been home, we've been able to take care of her, which is fun. But because if we had to work, she'd probably be gone by now. I just don't think something would have happened during the day that would have happened by herself. So,
She just, is it like old age related?
Oh yeah. She's 15 and a half.
Oh, yikes. For most a pug?
Pugs, yeah. They live to be about 13. And she's diabetic. She's got diabetes. So she's got to get to, and we just found that out a year ago. So she said during COVID, we found out. So she's been getting injections twice a day, and we still haven't figured out what the right amount is. So right now she's more insulin than dog. Because hasn't been working because I think she's got something else, but right. I'm not going to spend $12,000 to find out that my 107-year-old dog is dying. I know that. So now it's just a matter of she's not in any pain. As soon as if she shows signs of pain, we'll address it when it comes. But right now she just sleeps, farts, and eats.
Yeah. My sister has a pug. He suffers from something with the brain. Water on the brain.
Encephalitis.
Yeah, something like that.
He doesn't have much room in his brain for his brain.
No, and he's also blind in both eyes. And
Gertrude's blind. Yeah, she just got blind.
And he has seizures constantly, and they're trying to figure out what it is, but they don't want to spend a bunch of money on an MM or MRI because due to the condition, he's more likely not to make it through anesthesia.
And how old is that dog?
He's only 5.
See, I'm so glad this is our second 15-year-old pug. So I am very happy that the last one was 15 and some change, and the last month was really bad for him, but that's it.
Right.
So I don't even know what we do with a 4-year-old dog, because I mean, all our dogs were fine until the end.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be.
Right. My best dog I had was a border collie mixed.
I like how you said best friend, and then you went best border collie.
He was my best friend. Like I got him when I was like 5, I think.
Yeah.
But we had like,
there's Otto. He's not with us anymore.
Dude, I love dogs. Dogs are so great. They're better than cats.
Much better.
Like a dog will just say, "Oh, hey, welcome home, human. Feed me, and I will cuddle with you." And you're just like, "Okay, let me feed you, and you can cuddle with me, and I can take you outside while you go take your poop."
Yep.
Pretty
and
simple, right?
You come home and a cat goes, "Here is my asshole. Take a look at it." That's all you deserve.
They're like, "Oh, you spent money on this electronic? Well, this cord is non-existent anymore. Sucks to suck, human.
Oh,
I will scratch you."
You're getting ready to go on a 2-week vacation? Well, the day before you leave, I'm going to pee on the couch, so you'll be worried about what's going to happen when you leave me by myself.
Oh, God, dude.
That happened before when we went on a cruise. Like the day before, she peed on the couch. And it's like, what's going on? And that's because we moved stuff around and did something. But thankfully, nothing happened while we were gone. But
what, did they not like change?
I think my wife put some kind of deodorizer thing in the bathroom to make the cat pee smell go away, but it was too close to the box. So the cat didn't want to go in the box and decided that the couch was a good equivalent to a litter box.
I get it. I mean, if the toilet had a bad smell to it, I'd probably just go somewhere else, like in the kitchen sink. Who knows?
If it was up to me, I would just throw a bunch of dirt in the tub and call it a day, but you can't get that dirt out. So it's one of those things. We had a cat. The cat's gone. No cats are coming back.
Yeah, no, cats are a no for me. Definitely love dogs. I love lizards, apparently. So,
and everybody's got their picadillos.
Yeah, dude. And my lizard, I wonder if I could show you. I probably can't show you. He shed today. Like he was shedding.
Oh, he molted. Yeah.
Like the past 2 weeks. I mean, he was full on like trying to shed, like dull. And then today, after I logged off work, I was playing Assassin's Creed. And then I heard him like rummaging around in his tank. I'm like, what's he doing? Like he never gets zoomies around this time. And his whole back piece just was falling off. And so I got a whole nice back piece of shed from him. I know it's gross. But for me,
the way you're saying it, though, you're making it sound like you're making dinner. It's like,
dude, I held it and I was just like, dude, I'm so proud of you. And I give him like, a little bug because it's irritating for them, I'm sure. But I was just like, this is so cool.
Yeah, no, they're pretty cool. They can be cool. I mean, I don't want one because they smell, but I mean,
they do smell. Yeah, I know. I'm paranoid that my sense of smell has been dulled. And so I extra clean his tank once a week, give him the baths and stuff just because I don't know if there is a smell.
Do you think crazy cat ladies can smell all that cat pee?
Oh,
they can't. They can't. They're used to it. The human body will get used to a smell in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So you are used to that smell and you better change things or you're going to live alone unless you can find a lizard woman.
Yeah, dude, he's quite the ladies man,
Yeah, sure he is. I'm sure he is.
It's my Tinder. I'm like, me and my lizard.
Come on over, open a bottle of wine, a box of crickets, and in the fridge, and call it a night.
I hate crickets. I have dubia roaches, but I'm paranoid of that because I live in an apartment and roaches. Like that sounds like a bad idea, but they're non-invasive and they just live in a bin. And
can't you let him free range and eat the cockroaches?
He does that after he poops. I don't let him out until he poops. Bearded dragon poop is like the worst thing ever. Like it's made me gag, almost throw up multiple times. Like that's how bad it is. I know.
I can't believe this podcast has devolved into bearded lizard poop.
I know.
What did I do?
I know, but I won't let him roam until he does his business. And if he wants to roam, he'll do his business and I'll take him out and he can free roam.
That's exactly what we do with the dogs.
The rules.
The dogs, they don't get free range until they poop. And then once they poop, they can get on the bed. They can do whatever they want. But
exactly.
Gert is on constant watch until she pees at night. And then, let me put her in the bed.
Exactly. That's how it be, Anyway, yeah, that kind of went sidetracked.
Yeah. This is very much about what artists do every day. Talk about bearded dragons.
And we all have our muses.
Yes. Like I said, yeah, everyone's got their own little picadillos. So,
Are you excited for any movies coming out soon? Are you excited to get back in the movie theater with vaccine?
No.
Are you planning on that at all? No.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna go to see King Kong in the at the IMAX, because you got to. But I'm not so precious about the movie theater as a lot of film people are. I do enjoy it. Let's make no mistake. But let's be honest, the movie experience in the last decade has gone downhill without Corona. I'm going to movies and people are bringing their kids and their babies. I mean, I went to see Halloween when the re-release in 2018 or whatever it was, and there was somebody in there with a baby and a 4-year-old on an iPad, shining their light, watching them while the movie was going on. People are rude. They bring in all kinds of stinky foods because if you want to do that shit, stay home. So I'm staying home. But it doesn't. The TV's nice. I got a nice big TV. I don't have to worry about it. I can pause to go to the bathroom. But yes, super big movies. We do like to go to the movie theater just for the actual experience. But I don't have anything that's super urgent. And even if I do, it keeps getting pushed. I mean, I've been waiting for James Bond and Black Widow, and Black Widow's supposed to come out in July, and still don't know when James Bond's coming out.
Yeah, when Black Widow just announced they're releasing it on the platform after all, after pushing it back, saying they're not going to. I'm just like, why didn't you just do this from the get-go?
Well, they wanted to make sure that because they know there's $1 billion to be made with Black Widow. This is not Trolls International, where Trolls made $100 million, but it's because it was the first movie of the pandemic and nobody had anything to watch. Everybody had watched everything. I mean, they just know that if to put it on the platform is to kill it. It's not going to make nearly as much, because you need the dollars, you need the cinemas to be able to make these Avengers movies or these big movies that you want to see. I think people forget that. They think that there's going to be $100 million movies being made for VOD, and it's not going to happen.
Right.
You got to have that box office.
I'm very excited for Dune.
It's got Timothée Chalamet in it.
Yeah, dude, he's my dude.
He's a little too emo for me.
What was it? The commercial where he's Edward Scissorhands during this latest Super Bowl. That was him.
Yeah, that's him. That's exactly who he is. I don't see him as an action hero. He can barely, I bet him and with the girl from Lady Bird, Saoirse Ronan, I bet she could kick his ass. He was in Little Women, and I don't see why all the women were after him. I don't know. He just seems like a little scrawny dude to me.
That's fair. That's very fair. He's not Tom Holland by any means.
No, but Oscar Isaac's in it though.
Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, she's my crush right now.
Yeah, but I never got into Dune, so it's one of those movies we'll go see because it's obviously got pedigree. But I mean, I haven't thought more than a second on it until you mentioned it.
Oh, dude, I purposely went to Tenet in the theater knowing that they were showing like a small teaser for Dune that you wouldn't be able to see online, and I'm like, I have to go see this, and I went against my wishes of not going to a theater during our pandemic. Thankfully, it was just me and an old couple way across the theater. So it was just us three in the whole theater for 10.
Are they still alive?
I think so. I hope so. All of us were wearing masks. They never once took off their mask.
Right.
Neither did I.
If they're not alive, cool. It's probably your fault.
I mean, probably. Everything's my fault now. But then 2 weeks later, dude, they released the trailer on Twitter and they had to take a break from work, and I was crying. I was like, this is so fucking epic. Oh my God. And like they're taking screenshots, and like just going over Twitter because Twitter is going wild with it. And then they're like, oh yeah, it's gonna be released. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, psych.
Yeah. I've until it's actually in the movie theaters. It's almost like when I do any kind of event with somebody, like someone wants to, like, let's partner up and do a podcast, or let's do this, let's do that. And it's like, okay, until it actually happens, I don't believe it. So that's great. Cause I've had so many things not happen.
Right.
So it's just one of those deals. When it comes to movies now, I don't believe it until I'm actually in the theater. So even King Kong Godzilla, I know people have seen it. I know it's out tomorrow. I mean, as we record, it's out tomorrow on the HBO, but that doesn't mean I'm still going to IMAX yet. I'll have to see because it's, it's Los Angeles. They could change the rules any minute.
That's true.
Especially after spring break.
Yeah. Yeah. After they arrested how many people in spring break down in
all over the place. I was just reading a thing about the surges, the massive surges, and we've kind of erased all the good stuff we've done at the beginning of the year.
We're dumb. They're just dumb. That's what it is. There's no other explanation. They're not dumb.
Yeah. They're dumb or they're selfish. I think it's more selfish. They think they're not going to get sick. And even then, they're like, it's not about you getting sick. It's like, I don't wear a mask because I'm not going to get sick. No, that's not why you wear the mask. I've been vaccinated, so I'm not going to wear the mask. No, just because you're vaccinated, it doesn't mean you're not even going to get sick. It just means that you're not going to go to the hospital if you do.
Right.
But that doesn't mean someone who hasn't been vaccinated that you've been coughing on doesn't get sick. It's just people are stupid and selfish.
The key is you can still be a carrier. That's
Typhoid Mary.
And people are like, if I'm not sick, though, I'm not sick. I can't be a carrier. Science. Yeah. And these people all fucking failed science in high school, probably. So
for sure. Tell them the story of Typhoid Mary. She had typhoid, never had a symptom. So she just got everybody sick every time she cooked and cleaned, and then people would die in the school or whatever she was in, and then she'd go and get another job somewhere else and get them all sick. And then it got to a point where she knew she was sick with the disease, but she still needed to make money, so she was going around. So yeah, Typhoid Mary.
Is that a real story?
Everybody. That's a real story. Yes.
What?
You got to get a history book, man.
Dude, I know. I've been okay. Here's the thing. I've been digging history, but it's only for Viking era stuff because
you're playing Valhalla like I am.
But yeah, it's a fun game.
It's too glitchy though, man. I'm in Asgard and I'm supposed to land on a catfall thing, catch a catfall.
Oh yeah.
And the damn cat disappeared and it won't reset. So now I can't finish that up.
No, it's supposed to disappear.
No, it disappears. I follow the route. As I followed the route, and then you're supposed to land on the thing, and you're supposed to get it never happened, and so it won't reset.
Oh,
so I can't go back and get the thing again. So it's just broken. So the Asgard ruined. So,
that's like the first century of Asgard too.
yeah. No, I guess I do things weird.
Is it the first century or second century?
It's near the end.
Is it?
I think so, because it's after I only have one more piece to get before I give all my offerings to the Asgard and get out of there.
How far in the game are you?
I don't know.
I only asked this because I think I have like one more thing left after today's session.
Possible, because what I do is I go out of my way not to do the main quests. So that way, when I finally get to the main quests, I'm like, bing, I'm just killing people.
Especially because you're all overpowered.
Like I'm 195, level 195, or this one's power 195, and I'm in a region that you need power 20 to do. So
you're at 195?
Something like that, yeah.
Dude,
I think I've got 4 or 5. I think there's two or 3 more places I've got to acquire.
I got you.
But I also go to every single tower, synchronize, and then I get every yellow and blue piece and white piece there is, and then I go to the quests.
Oh, see, I save all that for after everything's done. And I'm like, I guess I'll go explore and just kill people.
Well, no, that's how you get powerful. That's how you get strong. So I do that first. But also, like, the Lego games are my jam because I have OCD. So I just go and collect every single thing. And then you got to play it 5 different times to get 5 different things.
So are you playing as the female or the dude?
I'm the dude. I just whatever's the generic. Yeah, the dude.
You're the dude. Cool. I was him.
But I have an entire company of women, though.
Hell yeah.
Entire crew.
Viking women are badass. And this brings me into my history thing. So I've been watching Vikings as well on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And
saw the first season of that.
Yeah, the first season's kind of wonky. That picks up, though. The second season, I finished the second season last night, and it's pretty good. But his wife, I'm just like, I need to find me a Viking woman. That's my goal in life.
Well, you live in Utah. There are plenty out there. They don't look like her, but there are Viking women out there.
Yeah. But anyways, I've been doing research though because I'm like curious because that show switches back and forth between, like, I mean, they speak English in the show, right? And then when they actually run into somebody who's from England, like, you know, different faction or whatever, Austin switches to subtitles on both sides. And I'm like, dude, why are they not speaking English if they're English? Like the English side.
They
Like,
did. They spoke Gaelic, didn't they?
no, they might have, depending on like what area they're in, but it's either Old English or Middle English. That was, and I was so curious. I'm like, what are they speaking? Maybe it's Latin because all these monks are speaking Latin, like when they're praying and stuff. But no, Latin wasn't really a spoken thing. It was like a dead language by the time that era happened. And so they're speaking Middle and Old English. And I'm like, okay, well, let me hear some, examples of Middle English. Maybe I could decipher it with my English ear. No.
Yeah. Go read some Canterbury Tales. Go read some Canterbury Tales. You'll have some problems.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. But I was so fascinated by that. And then the Nordics would actually, their base was around the Old English. So like they didn't have a hard time translating like as hard at the time.
Right.
It was fascinating.
Like the Romantic languages, the Italians and the Spaniards and the French don't have that much difficulty understanding each other.
Right. If you know the base word, then you can kind of get the context of it.
When you bring the Germanic language in, it screws everybody up.
Well, dude, like if you're speaking German, for example, they could say "I love you," and it sounds like they want to say "I kill you," like they want to kill you.
There's a lot in there. Yeah,
I want to kill you, dude. No, the Valhalla's fun though. I'm glad. I'm sorry it's broken for you. You should probably.
I'm still playing it. I mean, I just can't do the Asgard part now. I've moved on.
Asgard's fun though.
What was the last thing I just did? There was something that was broken there last time. Every once in a while, you do something and it just doesn't. It won't kick in. It's like okay, because that one and I did buy Cyberpunk 2077 too, but I have not installed it because I'm waiting for the update. I know it's bad, but I bought it on the cheap, so I got that in waiting.
I bought that on the whim, and
did I lose you?
Did you lose me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you stopped. You froze.
Oh, can you hear me still? Oh
yeah,
no, my connection's unstable. What's going on? I can hear you.
Oh. It's 7 o'clock, almost 8 o'clock at night. Everybody's home and using the internet in your neighborhood.
Bastards. I guess we could start wrapping this up too. Anyway, I was gonna say, what was I gonna say? I don't know. Oh, they refunded me my money for Cyberpunk because it was.
I mean, they took it off the Sony store. Yeah. So that's pretty bad.
I used that money actually to buy Hitman 3, and then it was fun, and then whatever. But anyways, Craig, where can people find you, dude? You know what? Hold on. Before we go there.
What a way to end it. Right at the very end, it all goes to crap.
No. Hold on. We're going to make this work. Oh. Hold on.
Well, now he's gone completely. He literally got downloaded into the computer. No, there he's back.
Yeah, I'm hardwired.
Oh, there you go. Is that something you just did, or you just?
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't do that before. That's a user error.
I'm well aware. I learned that in the CastOff. So
it's connected to my work computer, and then it's a hassle. But okay, how do you hope you can inspire others by podcasting and by brain fart? Yeah.
How do I? I just want to show other people that you can do it. I mean, I'm not a big inspirational guy. I'm not a big motivational guy. I don't meditate. I don't look for sayings. I don't read books on how to make my soul correct or whatever the one situation is. But let's be honest. If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's fairly easy to do podcasting, and everybody's got something they won't shut up about because, go to a party. What do people roll their eyes at? That's what you should be podcasting about because you are really passionate about it, but nobody else is. But there's somebody out there who wants to hear about it. So hopefully they just see all the different things I'm doing and go, I can do that because, I'm learning how to do all this video stuff. Look out the lights. I got lights. It's crazy. Before everybody's in the dark, and when I did the Zack Snyder thing, everybody was in their little cubby hole. It was like me going to Mordor with the hobbits. But I had sun. I got lights. I haven't figured out how to get rid of the reflection off the TV. But other than that, but yeah, just if I do it, if it's fun, For me, it's a way to stay connected with people. Because I mean, we met through a podcast, and that was through who was it? Patrick?
It was Patrick's. Yep.
So Patrick, I met through the podcast. Who I met through Valerie, who I met through the podcast that they did. So most of the people I interact with now, I know from podcasting, and they're all pretty nice people. So I'm happy about it.
That's so cool. I didn't know that. I thought you knew them like in person. Like,
oh, I've met them in person. I've met Jake. I think I met Jake and Tracy through FanX, through panels, but they had a podcast. And then Valerie was on that. That's how I know Valerie. That's how I know Steve and Izzy, Steve Condrick and Izzy. They are podcasters that my wife knew, and then they happened to be in the same area as us in Oakland, and we went to go visit them. And you know, most people in Texas I know either through the podcast or through the convention scene. So it's, you know, I have a lot of people out there that I know, but I mean, we're not close. It's not like we're swapping Christmas cards and going to people's brisses, but we, you know, they're nice people. I can depend on them.
Dude, if you want a Christmas card, let me know. I'll send one.
That's okay. I don't need it. My wife likes Christmas. I don't need anything.
So what's one piece of advice that stuck through to you throughout the years? I'm seeing as you were a speaker, like, do you follow any of the advice that you were trying to give being a public speaker, or
do the hardest thing first, because it's easier after that. If you do the thing that is the hardest thing to do, once you get through that, everything else is easy. So that's what I've always done. Is like when I did the video thing, I didn't just like do the easy way, just hit my phone and do that. No, I had to go buy the equipment and all that crap. And so just do it the hard way, just to get it. You're going to have to do it that way anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, sooner or later, if it's difficult, there's no way around it. So you might as well just plow through it. Now, if it's super difficult and it may take some time, do a couple quick, easy things up front, get you some momentum so you can run through the wall. But most of the time, just start. That's like eating the elephant. Just start eating. Don't purge. Just start eating, and after a while, it'll all be gone.
But purging is fun.
Okay, well,
that sounds really dark.
Yeah, someone's bulimic. That's not good. But yeah, we're starting to learn how you're going to get rid of that COVID-30.
Yeah, dude. It's gonna be like, hey, as long as it's not like South Park, you know, where they poop out of their mouths. I know. Dude, what a way to end.
Where did this go wrong? We were okay, and then it just.
Oh, dude, we're good. We're good, man.
Is any of this going to be used?
Yeah, why not? I have no shame. Dude, but no, thank you for coming on. Drop where people could find you. What do you have going on?
Well, as everything shows, it's Matinee Heroes, matineeheroes.com, Matinee Heroes on Twitter, Matinee Heroes on Instagram. That's the great thing about Matinee Heroes is we were the first one. So it's Matinee Heroes everywhere. And through that, you can find all the other stuff.
Check it out. It's fun stuff. I really like the CastOff, dude. I think it's just fun competing for that.
And like I said, the CastOff returns on, what day is it? The CastOff is going to return on the 13th, and we are going to take the past two seasons champions and have them battle it out with Rob Irvin and Randy Redacted going up against the other to kick off season 3. And then after that, it's going to be a lot, since there's no tournament, it's going to be a lot easier to do, and it's going to be a lot more fun. In fact, we're going to do a couple movies that make us a three people tournaments games for the Utah Remote Con that's coming up in May. And again, we can, whenever you guys have anything big special happening over there at the Gaggles of Geeks, we can have a Gaggle of Geek face off. Hopefully it'll be live at FanX, because that's the whole reason it was invented, was to be a game at FanX, and it was supposed to be there, but it all went to crap thanks to COVID. It will be a live show in Houston in July. So hopefully, instead of me judging everything, the audience will get a chance to tell who wins and who loses. So it'll be fun.
So do they vote like with a code, like on their phone, or
no? It's good. It's
applause.
Right there. Yeah, put your hand up. Who? It's not going to be. We can just count. I mean, it's not like going to be 2,000 people. It's going to be 50 people in a thing. I can count to 25 pretty quick. Especially if it's a whole bunch of people. It's like, If it's 75 to 10, you can see that.
Oh, you could definitely see that. I'm glad you could see that. I'd be like 1, 2, wait, hold on, 1, 2, 4. Nope, 1, 2.
No, if it's close, then I'll have to come in. I'll be the tiebreaker, but that's about it. Well, but yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch. So you can follow us at the CastOff Show on Twitter. I'm going to need movie suggestions. I'm going to need contestants. We have a little contestants app because I want to get new people on the show. So always looking for new people, always looking for good movies to recast.
Hey, what about Train Spotting?
What about Train Spotting? That'd be fine. That'd be good. Maybe that's what you and Patrick should do.
Oh, dude. That'd be blood. That'd be blood right there.
Hey, there you go. There will be blood. We could do that one. I don't think there's enough people on that one, though.
Yeah.
I usually try to find something with like 7 people. And I think Train Spotting's got 5, and then we just throw in 2 extras that show up, and we'd be good. A couple of girlfriends, I think.
I'll hit you up. I got ideas.
There you go. Always looking for ideas. So
cool. Well, Craig, thank you for coming on. Yeah, thanks for getting me out my shell of being on a hiatus. This is the first episode back. Oh. Hell fucking yeah.
What was the last episode?
Jim Stevens.
No, when?
Oh, when? It was February.
Oh, okay. So it's not been that bad. It's just been a couple weeks, and
yeah, just a couple weeks. Yeah.
Take the rust off, and off you go.
Off I go. We're gonna get back into it. You know, just everybody needs a break. And like I said in my last podcast, my solo podcast, which by the way was really fucking weird to do, but
yeah, that's why I've never done a solo podcast. I did one. I'm sorry. My final podcast for Reality Check was a very short one. It was just an explanation saying, "Hey, this is ending because I just don't have time because I have a real job now. I don't have my own schedule."
Yeah. That was weird, but I think I mentioned on that it's just, it is what it is, you know. It's a podcast. I'm not getting paid for this either, so it's just like on my schedule. Why not?
Well, yeah, you know, you do want to consider the listener as well, because otherwise they won't listen.
I know, and this isn't to disregard them. They're lovely for tuning in.
Hey, I don't worry, but I also don't worry about them. I mean, I with our listeners, I just keep plugging along, and I try not to, because sometimes they'll ask to do some really awful movies, and I'm like, no, that's not what we do. We don't do bad movies. We do great movies, and that's not a great movie. That's not even close to a great movie.
Dude, Mandy. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but like El Diabolic or whatever the hell it was, or some awful 60s movie, and then there's some guy who keeps asking us to do this like late 80s like Van Damme knockoff guy. And it's like, no, I don't care how good you loved it in 1989. You have nostalgia on the brain. You think it's good. It's garbage.
Chances are, dude, older movies have not aged well.
Some don't age well, but that doesn't mean they're bad. I mean, like Annie Hall did not age well, but it's still a good movie. But you got weirdos. But then you start to see the creepy stuff in it. Like, oh yeah, that's not a good line. What the hell? Yeah,
well, there's somebody on Letterboxd right now because of that documentary on HBO that came out.
Allen versus Farrow. I saw it.
Yep. And this girl was like, you know, fuck him. I was like, yeah, I'll like this. Yeah. Whatever. And then this comment underneath it was like, what's so bad about those movies? They're really relatable. And I'm like, what do you mean they're relatable? And then since I commented on that, you know, I get notified of all these notifications. And like, he was just picking on this girl and like being really fucking creepy.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, this fan base is weird. It's worse than the
Well, no, I don't think it's a fan base. I think it's what it is you got film people that may like Woody Allen, but they don't want anything changing. So the patriarchy is starting to be shaken, and they do not like that, even though they're not high up. They're not that high up. So I don't know why shaking the patriarchy would cause a problem, because the people on the top, they shake. People at the base don't move that much. And that guy, I'm sure, is a base. And he should be wanting change, but you know, people just fear change in general.
Yeah, they do. But the film in itself is always about change. Even from like, if you study film history, it's how much it's changed and shit. It's just like,
but you should see how many people get upset when I do recasting. This is a perfect movie. Why would I want to recast this movie? Because it's not about changing the movie because the movie's bad. It's about seeing what other great actors would do with that role.
Especially in today's day and age, you know?
not even have to be this today. It could be a new movie talking about, oh, what would Harrison Ford be like in this if he was 1970s Harrison Ford in 2001 movie or something.
Right.
But there's some people who think it's precious. Like that movie was garbage. And yes, you remember it lovely, and that guy did a great job in it, but someone else could. I mean, you don't stop going to see Hamilton because Lin-Manuel isn't in it and somebody else is, right?
Right.
It's still a good movie.
Dude, I will know, I have a like legitimate listener on this when they tweet at me being like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
That's my challenge.
Yeah, I that's the one thing I don't think we've gotten that. I did. The only thing bad thing I've ever gotten was I sent out this was back in 2012 or 13. I sent out a Christmas email to my listeners saying happy holidays. And the guy's like, oh, what? I can't believe I'm so disappointed that you'd say happy holidays instead of Merry Christmas, blah, 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 blah. And so all I did was cut and paste all the holidays in December. And I said, well, I have a bunch of people who listen from all over the world. Which holidays should I not celebrate? Because should I say no to all my Jewish friends? Should the Kwanzaa? All this stuff. There's so many things going on in December because Christmas was taken from the Christians by the Christians from the pagans. It has nothing to do with anything besides the fact they were just trying to get the pagans to like them.
Yep.
So,
and you learn about that if you study Viking stuff.
Yeah, Vikings. Yeah, they do that too. So.
Dude, that's good. All right. Well, no, thank you for coming on, and
Absolutely.
make sure
Thank
to
you.
check out Matinee Heroes. Make sure to follow the podcast and everywhere. I think it's on everywhere. Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah. Any more plugs you want to do real quick? Nah. All right. Well, Craig, I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Oh, absolutely. Good to see you.
Good to see you, dude, and take care.